Hello and very warm welcome. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Shweta Kothari. And tonight, we are talking about the frustration of thousands of you that you've felt at the airports recently. Indigo, India's largest airline, has once again said sorry after passengers were left stranded, flights were cancelled and schedules went for a toss. The government has finally decided to crack the whip. But the big question we're asking tonight is simple. Is it enough? The DGCA has mandated a 10% cut in Indigo's winter schedule. That translates to roughly 220 daily flights being removed from the system and relocated to other carriers and reallotted, of course, to other carriers outside of Indigo. This action was taken specifically because the airline failed to demonstrate that it actually had the capacity to operate these flights. Just look at the numbers from the month of November. Indigo had approval for over 64,000 flights. They operated fewer than 60,000. There were nearly 1,000 cancellations in just a month. The Civil Aviation Minister in Parliament today said that accountability will be ensured. Law Minister Kiran Rijiju even mentioned that Prime Minister has stated clearly that rules must improve the system and not harass the public. Take a look.
The disruption caused by Indigo's recent operational failures is now rapidly stabilizing. Indigo's daily flights, which had fallen drastically to 706 on 5th of December, have recovered to over 1,800 flights yesterday and are expected to rise further today. All other airlines continue to operate smoothly across the country, and the airports are reporting normal conditions without crowding or distress.
On December 5th, we could only fly 700 flights. Thereafter, gradually yet steadily improving to 1,500 on 6th, 1,650 on 7th, 1,800 yesterday, and today more than 1,800. As of yesterday, we are back of flying to all our 138 destinations in our network, and our on-time performance has also been normalized. Earlier, we had indicated to normalize between the 10th and the 15th of December. I can confirm now that today, as of December 9th, our operations are fully stabilized, which means flights reflecting on our website are scheduled to operate with an adjusted network.
भारत में जितने भी नागरिक हैं, सबको भारतवासी होने के नाते कोई सरकार से तकलीफ नहीं झेलना पड़े, इसका सुनिश्चित सबको करना है। रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन, कानून नियम अच्छा है, लेकिन सिस्टम को ठीक करने के लिए, जनता को परेशान करने के लिए नहीं। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने बहुत साफ शब्दों में कहा है कि कोई भी ऐसा कानून, कोई भी ऐसा नियम नहीं होना चाहिए जो बिना मतलब आम नागरिकों को परेशान करे, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए।
आज ही आप लोग ही मुझे बता रहे हैं किस तरीके से पैसेंजर्स में त्राहिमाम मचा हुआ है। एयरपोर्ट पे अभी भी लगातार इंडिगो की फ्लाइट्स डिले हो रही हैं, वो कैंसिल हो रही हैं, और आज भी करीब 300 फ्लाइट्स डिसरप्टेड हैं। और उस पे ये ऐसा बयान आना, उनकी रियलिटी से कितना ये लोग दूर हैं, ये समझ में आता है। सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्ट्री ने बाकायदा दिखाया है, अपनी लाचारी दिखाई है, घुटने टेके हैं इंडिगो के सामने, और जो रूल्स थे क्रू सेफ्टी के लिए, पायलट रेस्टिंग आवर्स के लिए, पैसेंजर सेफ्टी के लिए, उस पर आपने यू टर्न लिया है।
पिछले 3 दिनों से सरकार यही बोल रही है कि 24 घंटे में सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा, मगर सरकार पूरी तरीके से फेल रही है। सरकार के सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर को तुरंत जो है बदला जाना चाहिए और सरकार को एक बड़ा मैसेज इंटरनेशनली देना चाहिए।
As of yesterday, Indigo's CEO Peter Elbers and its chief operating officer sent a written reply to DGCA's show cause notice. They called the situation unfortunate and unforeseeable and said that they were profusely apologetic. Indigo gave 5 main reasons for this mess. Let's go through each of them and see if they hold up. First, they cited minor technical glitches on their A320 jets. But the fact remains that other airlines operating similar fleets managed just fine without mass disruption like Indigo's. Second, they blamed changes due to winter season. And this is a puzzling proposition because winter happens every year, and again, we saw no major disruption for any other airline on this scale. Third, they pointed to the airport congestion. Yes, our airports are busy, everyone knows that, but other airlines operating from similar airports did not cancel hundreds of flights. Excuse number 4. New rules for crew duty hours. These rules, called the FDTL regulations, came into effect recently. But here's what Indigo did not mention. The aviation industry knew about these rules for good 2 years, 2 full years to prepare. Excuse number 5, and this is perhaps the most telling one. They misjudged their crew requirements. In simple terms, they didn't hire enough pilots and cabin crew to operate the flights that they scheduled. They knew the deadline, they knew the rules, but they did zero planning. And why only Indigo? Every single excuse falls apart when you ask one simple question. If these were real problems, why didn't other airlines face the same crisis? And here's what we know for certain. Indigo expanded its operations without hiring enough people to run those operations. The regulator approved a schedule that the airline clearly could not manage. And the ministry introduced new crew duty rules without ensuring airlines had the capacity. In this case, Indigo had the capacity to comply. So the big question that we're asking tonight, will this 10% cut restore reliability or just inflate fares with no real fixes? Can passengers trust holiday flight schedule or expect more apologies? And will 60% market share, with that share, who bears the greater responsibility, the airline or the regulator? We continue to ask these questions. With us on the show is Captain C.S. Randhawa, President, Federation of Indian Pilots and Deputy Chief Flight Operations Inspector, DGCA. Also with us is Captain Amit Singh, former Director, Flight Operations, Air Asia. Also with us is Professor Bejon Misra. He is a consumer policy expert. Thank you very much, all of you, for taking time out for joining us on the show. I want to come to you, Captain Randhawa. We've been speaking about this for a while, and we've been speaking to all the Pilots Association as well as the agencies, including DGCA. So I have to ask you, as more and more details come to light, do you believe that these circumstances that Indigo is pointing out were unforeseeable, or is it a classic case of overscheduling?
You see, all these 5 cases, Shweta, you've said they are total rubbish. Where is the weather in the country? This is the best time. If you see, the weather is absolutely fine. Where is the fog in the country? The traffic congestion is consistent with the air traffic at every airport, which was there 4 months back, is same now. All airlines are facing that. Thirdly, when we come to the crew, let me tell you this, it can be, DGCA can verify this, from 2nd till the 9th, till today, the flight cancellations which have been there, and at the peak period when the cancellations were more than 1,500, the crew, almost 20 to 30 pilots were all in flight dispatch in every major city, and they had a cabin crew of 60, 65. The aircraft were on the ground, but flight dispatch had no instructions to release the flights.
Okay.
So it is quite intentional as far as Indigo goes, that it is nothing to do with the any of these answers which they've given, the very, very flimsy answers they've given. Earlier it could be understood that there was a software glitch between the network planning and the crew rostering software. But now it is quite evident that they have hoodwinked the government, the people, everyone, because it is very clear that if you even have 60 pilots short, the captain short, you cannot be cancelling 1,500 flights a day. It is quite ridiculous. They're fooling the people, and I don't know whether the government is going to accept this answer. This is total rubbish.
Okay, they're fooling the people. That's the word coming in. Now, also joining us on the show is Dr. Vandana Singh, aviation expert with Federation of Aviation Industry in India. Thank you very much, Dr. Vandana, for taking time out. Let me come to you, Captain Amit Singh, at this point. Can minor technical glitches realistically explain 1,000 cancellations in 7 days? You know, that's one of the reasons cited by Indigo. Do you believe that that's even a feasible response? Is that a reasoning that you can concur with?
No, I cannot digest any of the 5 reasons. And that they could not do a root cause analysis, they say it is quite difficult at this stage. That is quite laughable. for an airline of that stature, that size, and so many people, at least in the safety department, root cause analysis is a 5-minute job, a basic root cause analysis. And if you do a root cause analysis, the simplest one is ask yourself 5 times why it happened. So the 5th time you will come to know what the root cause is. And the root cause is that they were overconfident that DGCA would succumb and either approve the fatigue risk management system, which is an alternate to FPTL, or push the FPTL, which means they would get their way through. That is what they were very confident, which did not happen. They had the crew. They have the crew on their roles. Whether they were line ready or not, I don't know. How many management pilots were there sitting idle? How many leaves were cancelled? Nobody is giving us those details. It is only one detail that there were 65 captains shot. And I've been in Air India, Indian Airlines, and we've been operating for so many years with a shortage.
Okay.
They never knew whether there was excess or short, but it was managed. You club flights, you cancel a few flights. And for example, if the union goes on strike, there is something called the Essential Services Act, ESMA, which is invoked. So essential services have to be maintained. So here, essential services could be maintained by redistributing the flights among SpiceJet, Air India. Air India has got wide bodies. They are flying less than the required. So they could have pitched in rather than pushing safety and compromising with safety. They could have used these alternatives, and last resort was compromise with safety, which is not feasible, but that has to be done at a risk assessment. So there is a procedure for giving an exemption to a car, which is also in a regulation.
Okay.
That it has to be a justification from the operator. They have to justify why they need that, and a risk assessment along with it. If that is acceptable to the regulator, then it has to be notified. It is a notification procedure. Not anybody and everybody issuing exemptions and extensions and whatever. So there is a whole lot of FTTLs going on. We don't know which one is valid now.
Yeah.
A, B, or
so there's no clarity. That continues to be the word. In fact, across the board, not much clarity there as to which FTTL rules are applicable. Yes, sir, you were raising your hand there, Captain Randhawa.
Yeah, I wanted to intervene at this stage. What Captain Amit Singh said rightly, because there is a procedure how you can give an exemption. Now that exemption rests with only the Director General of Civil Aviation, no one else in the country, not even the Prime Minister. And that is by virtue of the Indian Aircraft Act and Indian Aircraft Rules, by virtue of which the DG is empowered to give dispensation, that too in extreme circumstances.
Okay.
Normally in cases of safety you do not intervene and start giving. Here I am quite surprised that a blanket approval was given to Indigo Airlines on the full CR. Nothing, the media does not have any letter, nor do we have any letter to that effect from the DGCA that this exemption has been granted. But since 5th, this announcement was made by the Ministry of Civil Aviation that the extension has been granted. This is not the proper way of doing things. Tomorrow there is going to be an IQ audit, there is going to be an FAA audit on the country. What are they going to answer?
So essentially keeping passenger safety at bay and keeping the FDTL rules in abeyance, which clearly crew pilots are not very happy with because it concerns people's safety. Professor Bejon Misra, not only safety has been compromised, but look at the visuals that have emerged on our screens right now, playing up for a week now. We're running into the second week. Indigo says our flight operations are back on track, but many people have lost opportunities. I saw a couple who could not attend their own wedding ceremony. Then there was a woman carrying her father's mortal remains who could not go and properly take part in the rituals. It appears that an airline which has about 60% of the market share completely relinquished its responsibility to its passengers.
So, Sweta, let me tell you, because I have been, researching in terms of what was the real cause. The real cause was that the airlines take the regulator for granted. Regulator brings in a regulation and are seen not having that capacity to implement it. It's a strange kind of a situation. For 1 year, they have been talking to the airlines and sitting with them to bring in this regulation, which all the airlines knew that this regulation is coming. And all the airlines were prepared, excepting Indigo, because they knew they can get away, as they were getting away all the time, till the airline pilots didn't go before the Delhi High Court and got an order from the Delhi High Court to ensure that it is implemented, because it was compromising the safety of the passengers. So when the High Court intervened and gave a direction that it has to be done, then the regulator wakes up and says it has to be done. And when they say it has to be done, then they also knew it was well designed. They knew that there will be a chaotic condition, and that chaotic condition will lead to extension of time for implementation. And they would have, in the bargain, enriched themselves to such an extent from the passengers, because you see, you pay money in advance. As a passenger, I pay money in advance. You have all my money. And then you are not competent to pay me back my money if you are not able to fly me out. I was stuck in Lucknow airport. My flight was in the night. And they didn't even bother to ask where you're going to stay, how you're going to manage yourself. They didn't even bother to tell the passenger. I could see infants crying. I saw senior citizens in a wheelchair unattended. I saw, patients unattended. Now, if that is the situation to manage a crisis like this, then God behold, how passengers will be taken care in terms of such crisis. I don't know, where we are. Because my contention is, when we make a law, DGCA is governed by a law. And when we make a law, the lawmakers make a law for the regulator to implement that law.
Absolutely. I mean,
and in the interest of the passengers, and in the interest of the airline. Now, what we see is that they're working in the interest of the airline, but they're not at all interested in the interest of the passengers. And almost 5 years now, I'm fighting a case in the Delhi High Court that there should be some kind of a mechanism to understand how the pricing mechanism should work in the aviation industry, so that the passengers are not victims of any arbitrary, fair structure.
Which
don't find any
they were.
transparency.
Even in this case, which they were, up until the third day when, the government woke up and decided to do something about it. For the first 2 or 3 days, we heard of many passengers paying exorbitant sums on regular routes. So
this has been happening for the last, I don't know how many years.
Extremely predatory pricing.
They keep seats with them. It's sheer enrichment, profiteering.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you, it's an open profiteering which is going on in the aviation industry in the country. And we as passengers have no say, because we don't have the resources. The pilots had the resources. That's why they went before the High Court. And they got a directive in their favor.
Absolutely.
But then even that directive didn't work. Consumers don't have. And the authority which has got, the Department of Consumer Affairs, which has got tons of money to protect the interest of the consumer, they don't go before the court to protect the interest of the consumers.
At this point, Indigo, at this point, Professor Bejan Mishra, Indigo is saying that they're going to, refund all the tickets, no questions asked.
Come on now. I don't want to refund 2 months from today.
Understood.
Come on now. You've taken my money in advance. Why are you taking time to refund my money?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Let me also quickly get in Dr. Vandana Singh, who's been waiting patiently. Dr. Vandana Singh, you heard, all the reasonings that Indigo has given at this point. That includes, in fact, winter scheduling, airport congestion as a real trigger, apart from the FDTL rules, and, minor technical glitches, as Indigo is calling it. Why did these reasons not affect other airlines? If I were to ask you, if this is a legitimate reason, why did it not affect other airlines? Now, of course, the suggestion here is that, Indigo is the largest carrier by market share. So obviously the impact on Indigo was far more and far severe than other airlines of the FDTL rules and other issues. But do you believe that there is any merit to any reasoning Indigo has given so far? Or are we to believe that Indigo held the entire country hostage and ransomed with the government in order to ensure that FDTL rules should be kept at abeyance?
Thank you and good evening to everyone over there. And First of all, I would like to say Indigo has the audacity to blame everybody but itself. So it definitely is having a suffocating grip on 2/3 of our domestic market and arm twisting. And really, this is regulatory blackmail. There is no question and there is no about legitimacy over there, because every reason that they are coming up with is not legitimate at all. What applies to one applies to all. So don't please make a fool of us, make a fool of public, make a fool of the government. You are not following the regulation. You're wanting to delay, dilly-dally. You're playing with pilot fatigue rules. You are trying to dilute everything. Captain Randhawa is right. Any time the audits can happen, ICAO can come on us, they can check on us, and they can say, what the hell is going on over here? They can question, because at the end of the day, these are global guidelines that have to be mandatorily followed. Aviation law, aviation regulations have not been followed here, and Indigo knew that with its dominating market share, they can abuse. This is abuse of power, and they have abused to an extent that it's got people, even as of today, who have not got refund. We are talking about price capping coming in 3 or 4 days back. It has come in, but let me tell you, even today, people are paying exorbitant prices.
Absolutely.
All seconds. So all of it, whatever Indigo is saying, is very lame. The way they are doing this, the CEO, I think it's a big joke on us, because they really are not sorry. They should be ashamed of themselves. That's one. And coming back to what should be done, I think that DGCA now needs to show its teeth. If 5% of slots have been cut, that's good. They need to do more. I hope this is just the beginning of it.
Right.
And more has to happen, because audits have happened today, I believe, but surprise audits have to happen on a regular basis.
Right.
It can be that it's a knee-jerk reaction.
Absolutely.
So
In fact, there's a 10% cut in schedule, right. There's a 10% cut in schedule.
Right.
Is that Captain Randhawa? Is that a corrective measure, or is it just a slap on the wrist?
No, it is a corrective measure, because we have been demanding since 5th of December, when I had a meeting with the minister. I said, you have given them so many dispensations, but on the other hand, you have not cancelled their extra flights given in the winter schedule. So that should be cancelled, and in writing we pursued it from the Federation of Indian Pilots that there is a need to cancel those, because they will take time for the normalcy, and they will keep brooding upon the FDTL, and they'll keep blaming the shortage of crew. Okay, and by the way, they had 24 months to implement this, and all airlines, I remember, because we have been running pillar to post Federation of Indian Pilots. Last year, we kept begging the DGCA, and no airline was ready to listen to DGCA. And they came out with the CR, and they had 24 months, all these airlines, to implement the CR. Now you cannot be holding the safety at ransom. And thereafter, we had to knock the doors of the High Court, which we were already in the High Court since 2019. We told them to expedite, because the safety is concerned. And on 7th of April this year, we managed to get the order from the High Court. Again, the airline jumped in. They wanted to implement it in 2 phases. It was done as per their knowledge and as per their concurrence. But in spite of that, Indigo has taken the whole country and the citizens of the country to ransom. This is a deliberate attempt. This is very, very clear. Why are the aircraft on the ground? Why were the pilots available on the ground? And yet no flight is going.
Absolutely.
It is very clear written. It's a writing which is very clear on the wall that it is Indigo is the prime responsibility to have run the schedule. So they have purposely done it. And by the way, let me tell you, on 24th of November, we had a meeting with in DGCA regarding this FDTL. Because when they gave the dispensations around beginning of November, we have taken DGCA to court on contempt of court charges. Because on the FDTL CR, the High Court has told them to implement it.
Right.
Now, any dispensation, they should have gone to High Court. So 24th, there was a meeting, and Indigo was doing arm twisting. What we believe, which we learned, that Indigo was doing arm twisting of the DGCA, and when they could not achieve, they let the bomb burst from second onwards.
I mean, that's the worst possible way of realizing your motive, Captain Amit Singh. Are airlines at this point relying quietly on pilot fatigue to ensure that there is aggressive scheduling? Are they using loopholes in the system to ensure that their flights continue to fly on time? And the minute new rules kick in, you see chaos unfolding as we did last week?
Well, the airlines have quite some power in the sense that they have taken over the regulatory functions. Not in principle, but obviously they have managed to get the way through till December when it could not happen. That is when all this thing happened. So there is a person in Indigo, there is a person in the HR whose responsibility it is assigned, and it is in the operations manual, which is approved by DGCA, which say that the head of operations, in conjunction with chief of human resource officer, will ensure well-planned, timely induction and processing of pilots joining, including all administrative matters. So responsibility is assigned, and who has approved? DGCA has approved. So all these people, there are names are there.
Absolutely.
So what is the delay in taking action?
They all should be taken to task. They all should be taken to task. Professor Bejan Misra, you have an airline which pays about 5% of its annual profit, annual revenue. I'll stand corrected. Annual revenue to its pilots. That's a very low figure for an airline which is not hiring enough pilots, which is frozen, as a matter of fact, hiring.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, Sweta, you must please appreciate, and I'm sure your viewers will appreciate, it is the responsibility of the regulator to ensure all the regulations are followed as per letter and spirit in terms of the law. But it is not happening, and that is why the pilots had to go to the court of law to seek a legal redress. Now, my contention is the regulator must ensure that as soon as anybody is trying to violate or taking, the country to ransom, the first people whom you should look for about is the welfare of the passengers.
Absolutely.
You see, my contention is that the welfare of the passenger is paramount. You can't ignore them. And they have ignored because they felt that the regulator is not going to bother about it. They will not do any kind of an harsh action on them, and they've been able to get it.
Absolutely.
They have got it extended up to February. And as I said, you know what, my only contention is that we have to learn lessons from such things, because it has exposed a huge amount of scandals which has happened, internally, and heads must roll.
Absolutely,
you see,
I agree.
Otherwise, we will never be able to learn.
Absolutely, Professor Bejan Misra. Heads must roll, and heads are rolling. We're given to understand, and on a firm action, decisive action.
In my 45 years career, I have only seen window dressing being done. Please.
So I hope, sir, this serves as a better example. I hope and I believe, and I continue to be optimistic. I've completely run out of time on the show. Dr. Vanda Singh, Professor Bejan Misra, Captain Amit Singh, as well as Captain Randhawa. Thank you very much, all of you, for taking time out. It's an issue that continues to be our priority. We continue to discuss welfare of passengers who were stranded, some of whom are still finding and trying to locate their bags. Others have not got their refunds. And Indigo is in the midst of crisis. Hard questions being asked of Indigo officials, of authorities. And Indigo, as an airline which operates about 60% of India's skies and is a dominant player, has to answer some tough questions tonight. But that's all the time we have in your interest. Thank you very much for watching.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा से लोन लेना एक मास्टर स्ट्रोक है।
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
अपनी सुपर पावर यूज करने का टाइम आ गया है।